The ordinary, the average, well, they would wait for the future to happen. But the real maestros of business, the game changers as you may call them, well, they create the tomorrow they want today. I'm Tharundu Amarasekara, and welcome to your weekend's most profitable 60 minutes. This is Bisnomics, where we prepare you to be a game changer. The global market for fashion clearly runs into billions of dollars, and there may be many different facets in this. Today we talk about virtual fashion, digital fashion, sustainable fashion, and so many more, a plethora of different and diversified topics. However, in Sri Lanka, there are many fashion entrepreneurs who have created their niche, created their mark in this market, and continues not just to survive, but also to thrive. And today, our special guest is someone who is indeed thriving in a very unique and a niche aspect of this fashion market, and namely plus-size fashion. What's the market for this? And most importantly, what's her story? Let's discover this today in Bisnomics, and our special guest is none other than the founder CEO of XXL, who is Adhisha Dahanayake. Adhisha, welcome to Bisnomics. Absolute pleasure to have you.
Hi, Tharundu. Thank you so much for having me today.
So, Adhisha, let's talk about your journey as a fashion entrepreneur. How did it all begin?
Okay, where to start? Well, I never wanted to be a fashion entrepreneur.
Never wanted?
No.
Oh, wow.
Okay, it's like it just happened. Because I was studying human resource management and I was into psychology. I was studying in Australia. Let's say after my diploma in Sri Lanka, and then I went there. And I had to come back because my father got sick all of a sudden. So I came back to Sri Lanka, and then I joined a private bank, which is 9 to 5. But I really enjoyed working there. And like I met new friends, like, you know, that was really nice because coming from Kandy, because my hometown is Kandy. So, and I started working in Colombo, and that was amazing. But after a few years, all of a sudden, I started like putting on my weight. So, and then I actually couldn't find sizes for myself. But when I was in Australia, they had like a lot of options. But in Sri Lanka, we never had anything like back then. So
I just wanted to know, I know how that feels.
Yeah, yes, I'm sure. So, and then what happened was one day, I mean, let me share this story, I think, because that's where actually I started thinking about this. I went to a store to buy a pair of jeans, and for myself. When I just walked in, and then I spoke to a sales assistant, and I told her like I would like to buy a pair of denims, right? But again, I felt very insecure to tell her my size. Okay, so that is different mindset sometimes when you have in your really big, I don't know like how to explain that. So I went through a little bit of depression as well. So when I was at the store, then I told her like I actually lied to her. I told her I'm buying this to one of my friends who is like bigger than me, you know. So I told her like I just need like one size bigger. This is my size, but I want one size bigger. So I lied to her, and then she said we don't have that size available in the store. And then I asked her like, do you have any outfit fits into my body type? So she said, no, we don't sell these sizes in the store. So that was a bit loud, but I don't blame her.
They tend to sometimes say it in a very demeaning manner.
Exactly,
as well.
Yeah. So I felt really bad, and I felt very insecure, and I walked out. When I was walking to my vehicle, I was just thinking, why every time, you know, because every time like something is happened to me, like when I go for shopping, like, you know, I can't find like proper clothing. So I was just thinking that, you know, and when I go inside the vehicle, I had a chat with my partner, and then while we were having dinner, like actually that was like we were having some party at my place, and while we were having dinner, we were just talking about this, and then we thought like, like us, there are a lot of people, because my family is like the more than 6 family members. They are like all plus size, so we were just struggling to find clothes. So then we thought like, mean, of course, there are people like who need this solution. So, and then we clearly saw like there's a gap in the market. So while we were having a glass of wine, I can remember one of my cousin brother, he said like, he just mentioned, so you can call it double XL. So then we thought like, yeah, let's give it a try. So that's how we actually started double XL, and that's how I become a fashion entrepreneur.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. And a very unique and out of the ordinary story as well, I must say, Adhisha. And thank you for sharing that with myself and the audience of this show. Now, when you look at the plus size market,
Yeah.
is there like a market taboo or a market phobia where people are a little scared to come and look for clothes, where when they go looking for clothes, they always, they tend to get worried, look, will I be able to find clothes for my size? Do we see that market taboo or market phobia? And how did you, at a time like that, and clearly because when you started this, you would have seen some of those issues as well. How did you really come and connect with that market?
Actually, like when we were started in year 2010, it was pretty hard for us to actually connect with the customers, because we are the first plus size brand, and when we started, it is like they really want to come to the store, but they don't want to come also.
They don't want to be seen
there,
Okay.
right? So, but from our end, what we did was actually all the experience I had, like past experience, like all the bad experience I had, like, you know. So we thought like we are not going to have any small sizes in this store. We just want to start with size XL to 7XL, just to give them very comfort shopping experience, and for them to come and just feel the shopping, like, you know what, how, I mean, if they come inside, they don't feel like, okay, so I'm plus size, you know, and I'm big size, so I don't want them to feel like that. I just want them to be very comfortable. And also we place like a lot of tapes, like size tapes, just for them to measure, so then they don't feel like, you know, to ask the size, you know, then when you ask, then you feel bad. So when we started, like in 2010, I can remember one of our friends, like, you know, because we had like very unhealthy cash flow from the beginning, I would say, because it was a new product and a new business model.
Correct. Something new to the market.
Yeah, new to the market.
Almost borderline taboo.
Yes, right. And at that time, Tharindran, nobody wants to talk about this body positivity.
Correct.
You know, they were like really insecure about that.
Because if you look at Adhisha in a Sri Lankan context, I mean, just to digress a little bit from what we were saying, well, when you tend to be plus size or when you're big made, you tend to be laughed upon, mocked upon. It's very common, starting from the school days, going all the way up to the corporate sector.
Yeah.
I believe that we have
Bullying,
this problem.
Yeah, of course. So I myself, I had all these issues. That's what I told you. Like at one point, I was going through a little bit of depression too, because purely because I couldn't find sizes for myself. Because what I want to tell Tarinder, I mean, it's like this. I actually don't like to call me plus size person, because there's no plus size, average size, normal size, skinny size. You know, we all have a body type, and this is our body structure. So we all have to, I mean, as long as if we know, like, okay, so this is my body type, so I have to wear accordingly. I don't think we actually don't segregate people into like size category, you know.
Correct.
So we just wanted to break that, basically. So I can remember some of my customers those days, back then, they just they came to the store, they come to the store, and they stop their vehicles just in front of the shop, and they ask us to bring all the products, and then they choose inside the vehicle. They never wanted to come inside the store.
Because they didn't want to be seen.
Be seen, right? So that much pressure, just imagine that, how you feel that, you know, if you're really like, I mean, I don't think it's a healthy, mindset to have, right?
Correct.
So, so now I can see, like, they come, they sing, they dance, they just buy what they like. So from the beginning, it was like they just wanted some, like all these basic colors, like let's say blue, like dark blue and black, like, you know, some very staple colors. But now they need like a lot of colors, like prints, loud prints. So I think we already break that. So
Correct.
It's nice.
And it is indeed the month for breaking the bias, as we call it. So
yeah,
congratulations on breaking the
Thank
bias somewhat
you.
there.
Thanks. Yeah, so yeah, it was pretty hard. I would say it was very, very hard because one thing we came actually like to find like plus size models for advertising. So it was very hard to find like, models back then. But now I can see like a lot of models, plus size models, and a lot of plus size brands. Actually, it's amazing to see, because then people are treating equally, right?
Correct.
Everyone, everybody, I would say,
Correct.
every body type. So even though it was hard, but I think now I think we are going very strong, and recently we opened up our new store also,
Flagship store. Congratulations
store.
on that.
Yeah.
And Adhisha, during the pandemic, what were the interesting trends you saw in terms of fashion purchasing? Because people were at home, but they were still browsing online, on social media, on web stores, etc. So, what were the interesting trends you saw in fashion buying during the pandemic? And now that slowly the economy has opened up, what trends do you see there in terms of the Sri Lankan consumer?
Okay.
And especially their buying, I think more than trends in terms of their buying behavior.
Yeah.
What did you experience during the pandemic, and what are you experiencing now?
Well, I would say pre-pandemic and like post-pandemic, there's a huge difference, because when during the pandemic, they were buying a lot of comfortable clothing, so oversized and very comfortable clothing. But now also I can see actually. Before the pandemic, they were more into fashionable and very trendy clothes. But after the pandemic, like during the lockdown, they were like more into very comfortable clothing and soft cottons, like fabric. Like they actually choose like really like very not silk fabric, like it's like more of a comfort fabric. And also I can clearly see now the thing is like during the lockdown, a lot of people started working from home. So now they are buying a lot of trendy yet very comfortable clothing. And also I have to must say this, because earlier it was like again like more of a like they were buying a lot of dark colors, like because I personally like wearing like dark colors, but I also changed my whole wardrobe, because I think like it's time to wear some colors. Like so I can clearly see like we also like added like a lot of silhouettes, like colorful silhouettes for our new collection, because people really like to buy like very loud prints and colors. So clearly there's a difference.
For sure.
Yeah.
Some interesting thoughts that you had noticed there, especially from a very practical perspective, Adhisha, and I think it's indeed valuable insights for the audience as well. How do you unlock online fashion during a pandemic? Well, let's talk about that on the other side of this short break. This is Bisnomics. Welcome back to Bisnomics, your weekend's most profitable 60 minutes. Our focus today is on fashion, and especially how one fashion brand that catered to a niche opportunity, plus size fashion, how did they actually get about doing things, and what advice can that success story have for budding fashion entrepreneurs such as yourself? And we are in conversation with Adhisha Dahanayake. Adhisha, let's talk about online fashion. Clearly, post-pandemic, one of the biggest winners. In fact, one of the biggest, I would say, winners of the entire pandemic situation, because people had to shift online, buy online. Would have been a new experience for you as well. I'm sure you were building up to online fashion, but of course, until the pandemic, online fashion was more of a complementary aspect. It was a luxury for a lot of brands. But here you are faced with a pandemic, and you too very successfully went online, not just your web store, but the digital marketing platform, social media, etc. What's the double XL mantra for making online fashion work?
Yeah, actually, we are like plus size brand. So when it comes to online, there's a small, the problem is people, I mean, like me, I would like to go to a store and I would like to touch and feel, and I would like to wear it and see whether it fits me correctly to buy before I buy the product. So while we were going through this pandemic, we actually struggled, Taranadu, because even though we had our website, people were unable to like buy through online, because they just wanted to find the right size.
Correct.
Because especially when it comes to plus size, because they just want to wear it and see whether it fits right.
And fashion still to a large extent is a feel-good product, isn't it?
Yes.
You want to touch and feel the fabric, keep it on, you see how it looks.
Yes, and when it comes to plus size, it's like buying the right size.
Correct.
right? So because I mean, even
You
though
don't want to
you're
look too big in it, neither too
yes,
tight.
yes. So we would like to wear it and see like whether it fits correctly. So then we were struggling a little bit, but thanks
Adhisha, can
to
I also ask, is it also because a lot of people are not used to sizes like 3XL, 4XL, 5XL? How would it fit? People didn't really know, because not that people have had a chance to wear some of these sizes in the traditional shops.
yeah, actually, yes, I think that is also true. But more than that, I think sometimes, Tarinder, when you see a product, even though it says the tag says 3XL, but 2XL person can wear it.
Correct.
Right, so it's not about the size, it's about the style. Sometimes you can wear like 4XL and you can wear it like, you know, you can wear accessorize a belt and then you can feel good, right? Sometimes you can wear like a body hugging dress and then you can feel good. It's all about what you like, right? So we came up with few issues, and then we clearly saw like there's like the cash flows like were a bit unhealthy. So then we thought like, how can we break this, you know, and we have to come up with a strategy. So luckily, like we have a good young team and also like other partners. So we had a long chat, and then we came up with a strategy called virtual shopping. So we introduced that, and that is like how it works is like we give 10 to 12 actually 10 to 12 we select 10 to 12 customers and we give appointments, and what we do is like we make video calls, and then when you take a video call, we take them through the store, and they can pick what they like, and they can mix and match, and they can if they want accessories, they can buy accessories, and also if they really like to see the product in a mannequin, so then we can show them, so then they can clearly get a picture. So it's actually not like coming to a store, but it's like at least we're trying to give some experience about the product before they buy. So they really liked that strategy, and then we actually got some good sales, and yeah, that's how we survived.
So what you're saying is go beyond the platform and the visuals, try to make it an experience for the customer where they get to see what they're actually going to get.
Yes,
Understood. Now, when it comes to fashion brands, I mean, if you take the global fashion market, Adhisha, we talk of the Armanis, we talk of the Gucci's, the Versace's, and the Zegnas, and so on. But we don't see too many Sri Lankan fashion brands or fashion entrepreneurs going global, or for that matter, even going regional.
Yeah.
Where are we missing the trick?
Well, actually, I would say going global is not impossible, right? But the thing is, you have to find the right country and you have to find right culture, because culture has definitely, it's like has a major role in fashion, and if you can do your research well, and if you really know like, okay, my product mix is where going to be like really I can pitch here in this market, so then it's a win-win. But the problem is there are a lot of when it comes to this breaking global market, it's like it takes a lot of time and also a lot of energy, and it's very difficult because but I can see a lot of Sri Lankan designers, they are doing really well in Australia and UK market, and even in USA. It's all about doing right research, I would say, because we were struggling too little like few years ago. But I think we are niche market, right? So it's like it's not easy because we have to find, and also Tarindu, I think very important to know like what customer need, you know.
Sure.
Yeah, because otherwise
Basics
like,
of marketing.
yeah, exactly. And also like sometimes, a very small example I would give, I'll tell you. Now let's say in Sri Lanka we like some colors, you know, but the same colors we can't use in a different country.
It can stand
for something else. And also the prints, we had like few issues few years ago. So these are the things that you have to like, you know, really like tiny minute details, yes, but you have to really focus. So if you really can do a right research, I think it's not that impossible.
On another facet of fashion, especially I think relevant for these times, Adhisha, and a lot of fashion entrepreneurs probably are facing this issue as well, is the raw material, the required supply chain processes to get the right material. Because as we know, there are lots of issues with regard to making payments for foreign parties. Even if you are able to pay, there is no guarantee that you can get the goods on time because of there's so much of a supply chain and logistics chock-a-block. I think that's the word we can use. And very recently, we also see some new developments in that. For example, the Russia-Ukraine war, which can lead to more supply chain issues. So clearly, supply chain problems is taking center stage when talking of any fashion brand. How did you manage to navigate your way around some of these key supply chain related issues?
Yeah, actually, Tarinder, being in the retail market, it was we were struggling, like, you know, starting from like last few years, it was really bad because as you mentioned, we wanted like fabric, like, you know, for our collections, and because normally we have to get ready like before 3 to 4 months before a season. So but we actually I would say fabrics, the demand is so high in Sri Lanka. So we managed somehow fabrics, but we were struggling with accessories, especially because we do like a lot of slippers and bags, like slippers to match with like big feet. So we were struggling a lot, like, you know, starting from 2020, yes, because it was very hard. It was really hard. So what actually we did was we slowly started talking to local suppliers, and I would say there are a lot of talented people in our country, and what we had to do is we just had to help them from the beginning. We just had to invest from the beginning,
make them understand your brand.
Yes, brand, and also the quality, because I think we really look into quality product. So we had a pep talk with them, like, you know, and then they were very nice to us from the beginning. I would say from Kandy, like from Bandaragama, and different districts, like, you know, it's not in Colombo. So we used to go there and we used to talk to them, and we got it done, everything. So now I think we actually don't need anything from foreign sources, especially like all these slippers and leather and all these accessories.
Correct.
But I would say the struggle is still real with fabrics.
Understood. And do you see Sri Lankan fabric providers and suppliers slowly but surely being able to come up to match the international standards and even the accessory suppliers?
Yes, I think they will, but it will take some time, Tarinder, because because the demand is so high in Sri Lanka.
Correct.
And the quality, fabric quality, I think it what matters end of the day. So definitely it will, but it will take some time.
And how do you balance with the competition from foreign brands? Because there are still the opportunities there to import foreign fashion brands, and we see that happening in Sri Lanka as well. And Adhisha, in a globalized world where the fans, the audience, the population is exposed to so many foreign TV shows, foreign news channels, foreign advertisements, foreign music, things that go hand in hand in fashion, it's natural for them to also have their tastes adjusted with these global brands.
Yes.
So then here comes the battlefield between the local fashion brands and the global fashion brands. How interestingly is it playing out?
Yeah, that's a real struggle again, actually. But one thing, Tarinder, for us, it's just because we are a niche market, and as I mentioned, our product is very different, like, because our product is mainly, we are catering to starting from XL to 5XL. So when we take global market also, there are very few plus size brands, you know, and who caters like that size range. I mentioned XL to 5XL. So for us, I mean, true.
And I believe for certain designs you go for 6 as well.
6 and up to 7XL. Yeah. So certain actually designs also, and end of the day, the size guideline our size guideline, we have like 2 different size guidelines. So one we have for South Asian body type, and one we have for Western body type. So because
Oh, that's interesting. So
yeah,
for the body types are
it's
different
different.
from
It's
region to
different.
region.
It's different.
Oh, wow.
It's different because when it comes to plus size, in Sri Lanka, so we are like a different structure. But when it comes to Western, it's a different structure. They are very tall and like the broad shoulders. So it's different. So we have 2 different size guidelines as well. So when we give all this, I think, and the quality product, so then we can keep our customers. So I think that's how we fight. We always give them the right solution.
Interesting insights there, Adhisha. How important is fashion education for budding fashion entrepreneurs? Let's talk about that on the other side of this short break. This is Bisnomics. Welcome back to Bisnomics, your weekend's most profitable 60 minutes. We are in conversation with Adhisha Dahanayake regarding the opportunities in the Sri Lankan fashion market. Adhisha, let's talk about a very important critical success factor for any fashion brand, which is appropriate segmentation. Now, getting the segments right, launching collections to match that, I think in the basic marketing 101, we would say segmenting and targeting. I believe that that's something that applies to you as well. So as a fashion entrepreneur, and I believe your advice will definitely help fashion entrepreneurs and budding fashion entrepreneurs who are watching this show as well. How do you go about creating these new segments and coming up with collections to match up? I'm sure from your own experience, I'm sure you would have some interesting insights to share.
Yeah, actually, it's all about the education. It really matters, when it comes to especially this is very competitive, the market.
So education about the market.
About the market, yeah. But one thing what I really have to mention, Tarindu, when it comes to me, I'm a self-taught person because I have never done any fashion designing, education, I would say.
To my knowledge, neither had Armani. He was originally from a carpentry background.
Maybe, yeah. So, yes. So, I think because it's all about, thinking out of the box.
Correct.
And being very creative. Yeah?
And
So
believing in
yourself and doing what you love, right? So then I think it's, not in fashion, I think every industry, I think education really matters, especially because, at this kind of a situation, like pandemic, and you have to come up with new strategies, you have to find how to sustain in the market. So it matters, your education is something that not only in this industry, every industry it matters, but more than that, I think what matters is your mindset. So because when I started this XXL, all what I wanted is bring a solution for plus size people. So because I went through a bad experience, I went through a struggle. So I gave my 100%, and then
correct.
Yeah. So
and then and nowadays, if you look at some of the more modern segmenting, we talk about activewear, we talk about even if you go demographics wise, you go age wise or teenagers collections, etc. So how have you been venturing into these different segments, Adhisha?
Well, yes, it's a good question, actually. I would say that during the pandemic lockdown situation, Tarindu, we got a lot of queries about asking activewear. So because I myself am a national powerlifter, and I do powerlifting, and I train every day.
You do look strong.
Thanks. But I do, and recently I won my national powerlifting under 84 category. So I always tell people to go and be active, go to a gym, but again, it's not about being skinny, it's about being fit, and so we got a lot of inquiries, and then what we thought, why don't we give it a chance? Why we'll introduce some good quality activewear. So during the pandemic, we got really good break, actually 2 years. So we were doing a lot of research about activewear, and we came up with a good product, and recently we launched that DXL activewear.
On that.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
sorry.
Yes. So what are the future fashion trends that really excites you, Adhisha? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think anything minimal, I think people nowadays, they'd like to go very minimal. Like I think less is more. And after this pandemic, we all went through a cocoon and we came back. So I think something minimal, like, you know,
So
and also
that's
eco-friendly.
exactly,
Eco-friendly,
that means
yes.
sustainable fashion.
Sustainable fashion, yes.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. And if you look at fashion education, now you did say that you are a self-taught person.
Yes.
But for any young fashion entrepreneur or someone who is keen to learn or keen to get into fashion, do you think that having a formal or some kind of fashion education would be of an added advantage?
Of course, certainly it will be, because good to have, that's what I mentioned earlier also, it's always, I mean, sometimes you have education, but you don't want to, I mean, you don't like to do, to be an entrepreneur, right? I mean, you can just, it's all about the mindset, Taryn. It's not about, I mean, education, it matters, but it's an advantage, but I think it's more than a mindset, because I was doing completely different
You said you did
studies.
HR at the start.
Human resource management, and yeah, I was doing human resource and psychology, two different subjects, you know. But I really enjoy this journey. This is amazing. So it's all about, I put a lot of hard work. So I think it's, again, education, it matters because of this very competitive world we live in. But I think it's all about the mindset.
And have you also seen a lot of, because we see, if you take the tourists,
Yeah.
I mean, countries like Thailand, you know, they are able to go to these bazaars and they buy all these big size clothing and all that. Have you seen a similar trend even in Sri Lanka, where even some of the tourists are interested to purchase the plus size clothing because it fits them well?
Yeah, because we get a lot of tourists, because we have one store in shopping malls also. We have a few store, so can see like a lot of foreigners, like they like to come and they buy the products, and that's why I mentioned you about that size guideline. We have two different, one for Asian body type and one for Western. Yeah, it really helped us. Yeah.
Interesting. Adhisha, what advice would you have to share, would you like to share with budding fashion entrepreneurs, maybe a fashion student who is watching this show, who is dreaming of launching his or her own fashion brand? What is your advice to them? You've been through the mill, you're maybe even still going through the mill as well. You know what it takes, you have that experience. What would you like to tell them?
Interesting question. Actually, I would say, number one, just think different, because most of the young entrepreneurs, I mean, it's okay to get inspiration, but don't do the same thing. Don't follow, just you have your own creativity. So always think out of the box. That's my number one advice. And number two is like, actually all this, I mean, we have started this in 2010. So now almost like 12 years we are passing. So when I look back, actually it's amazing. It's like a roller coaster, but it's a bumpy ride, but I really like that. And it was a lot of hard work. It's like I was going through, like, sometimes I never had time to sit and eat. But again, like today, when I look at the brand, I'm so happy because we are doing really well. So number two, I would say it's a lot of hard work. So it's 0% or it's 100%, not in between. So number three, I would say it's all about like loving what you do. If you don't love what you do, you don't feel like giving 100%. So those are like my three advices.
Adhisha, we are, after all, celebrating the International Women's Day in the month of March. Now, as a successful woman and as someone who balances many different roles, I mean, you are balancing your duties as a CEO, and I'm quite sure you have your plate full with the duties at home, and at the same time, you're also into, you said, powerlifting.
Yeah.
How do you really juggle and balance? Because a lot of women do struggle when it comes to juggling all these roles. They're very good at it,
Yeah.
but they also face that struggle. What is your mantra for that? This is not necessarily as someone representing the corporate world, but as a successful woman.
I know it's quite hard to balance sometimes, but I think that's what I told earlier, Taridu, it's all about what you love, you know, because I love doing what I do. I love going to my office in the morning and talk to my team, and and then I like to go to the gym and I like to work out. Like somehow I find time. So if you love what you do, and if you really, then you can really balance your life. So I think that's the mantra. It's all about like loving what I do.
Interesting ideas indeed. And your advice to women in general. I mean, today we are looking at a world where there's a lot of bias when it comes to women entering the workforce, women entering into entrepreneurship. There is bias. And even in offices, in organizations, things can always get better for women. And they are facing threats of abuse, threats of various harassments. I mean, these are not topics that always get spoken on TV, but I think it should get spoken, because when we speak about these things that matter, then action that truly matters will hopefully follow. So in your view, what is your advice to such women?
Well, I think women are very powerful. I would say like they're really powerful, and I can see a lot of young women entrepreneurs. I've met like a lot of people during last few years, and also like in my office we have a lot of young women working, and as designers, and so they're like doing amazing. So I think it's all about like how, I mean, when you want to say no, you have to say no, and when you want to say yes, you have to say yes. So it's all about sometimes, because they just I mean, we are very sometimes we get really reluctant to say no to something that so at my office also, that's why I always tell them, like, if you don't like something, just say it loud. And if you like something, if you want to grow, and if you want to like grow and just go forward, just do that. Speak out and be heard. Exactly. So I think that's my advice, because it's then again, like if I mean, there's no any men, women, I think everyone, because I think, I mean, true that women are going through, sometimes they are going through a little bit of when it comes to mentally, and so they go through a little bit of stress and harassment. But I think men also the same sometimes. So I would say more than women and men, I would say human, like,
Yes.
So because I've seen like a lot of people going through like a little bit of bad depression, and some at work.
Correct.
Yeah.
Adhisha, the women who have inspired you in your life, who are they, and what would you like to tell them?
Well, I think I would say my mother, because she raised me like to be a very strong woman, and because when we were at school also, I can remember when I want to if I want to go to do a sport, she allowed me to do that. And if I want to go for like some intra club or some other any other activity, she allowed that. And also she gave me a lot of experience, let me experience the world. So, and even now also, when I go through some certain times, we all go through
we all do.
Yeah. So when I call her, like, and I talk to her, it always I feel very good after talking to her, because she's always like, okay, take it easy, like, so so she always give me like a lot of strength. So I would say this is my mother.
Fantastic. Adhisha Dahanayake, founder CEO of XXL. Absolute pleasure to have hosted you. You spoke from your gut, you spoke from your heart, just like how you do business. And I can see you are very passionate about what you do, and the advice you shared with the audience, with budding female entrepreneurs and even women in general, I'm quite sure for something very value-adding and thought-provoking as well. Thank you very much for joining us, and wishing you and your team at XXL all the very best for successful months and years to come. Thank you for coming again.
Thank you. Thank you, Tarindu, for having me today. Thanks.
If you're a fashion entrepreneur, well, go with your gut. And most importantly, go all the way. It's either 0% or 100%. There's nothing in between. And if you believe in something, you'll always find a way to make it work. I'm Tarindu Amrasekara. And until the next episode, have a profitable week ahead. This is Bisnomics.